Stephanie has just pointed out that all this time, there has not been any sound. How about we try this from zero? Because apparently the muscle memory was not there for me for putting the audio out. I did not turn it back on again because I'd forgotten.
It was on when you first started, and I muted it because I don't like hearing your voice twice because I get confused.
Well, it wasn't.
And then when you said that you were muted, I turned it back on and I could hear sound.
Yeah, because I
So
just turned it on.
maybe Stephanie's having an issue. I don't know.
No, the audio was off. That was my
Okay.
fault. So to be,
Oops.
just to cover all bases. Actually, one second. Okay, so I am going through the right microphone. Covering all bases, then let's just do. I will do a manual cut and edit in YouTube to cut this down. So let me just put a little bit of a marker for a couple of seconds, if you will, and we will actually launch into this properly. Consider that there is nothing going on at this point. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. We are. It's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
I'm trying to get a
Take
clean.
three.
I'm trying to get a clean edit point. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because the question why is not the end of a discussion, it is the beginning of understanding. Treat it as such. It's also so that we can follow up with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. If folks are wondering if things are a little bit on the weird side, yes. This is about the third or fourth attempt to try and get this video started because the muscle memory that I've got failed me because I did not turn on the audio part. So if things work the way that they're supposed to, I should have a clean edit point on the video, even if there is just a little bit of a jump. My apologies. The last couple of weeks have been gone, and I apologize for that, but thank you for understanding. The first week that we were gone, my kid graduated college. 33 years after my wife, his mother, did, to the month, which was really cool to be able to be there for, because where the hell else would I be? This past weekend, I was doing the charity live stream for the Ride for Roswell, which is the reason why I've got the hat back on again. The hat that I took off in protest, because it's blue, is specifically for the Ride for Roswell. And after doing the day, Friday, going out to the college, getting him moved out, and then doing the Friday night show radio stream for 3 hours, and then immediately kicking off 36 for the charity, I ran the numbers to find out I was awake for approximately 55 hours. And I had one very specific rule for myself about that, and that's going to come up as part of the 5-minute freestyle in just a little bit. Being able to join me from the left-hand coast, Io Cloud. Welcome back for the second, third, fourth time at this point. Hi.
Hi. And we actually found out what was possibly the reason for why I was so sick January, February, March, April. There's a thing around here, southern United States, called valley fever. It's a fungus and it comes off the desert, and it's just the dust that's in the air. There was a lot of dust during those forest fires. So it hit me hard. Still working on getting rid of it all.
Yeah,
I'm
not,
approving.
yeah, and glad for that. Glad for that. And hopes for, now that there is something that actually makes sense, hope that there is good, quick recovery at this point. So, as always, if you'd like to be joining us as we record live, you can be part of that collection over there. And yes, I've got it on the screen in the correct locale for myself. Stephanie made it. Thank you very much. And thank you for pointing out that the audio was not up and running. My apologies. That was my fault. The part of the muscle memory got screwed up. There's no way for me to just have it switch on. It just is the way that it is. So all I can say is, that's my fault. My bad. But of course, as always, if you'd like to join us as we're live, feel free to pop in on us on YouTube. I'm more than happy to have you there. If you'd like to chime in over there, you can also chime in over on Discord. We've got that open simultaneously, and you can just give us a little bit of message as to what's going on. Happy to have you. Other than that, Io, was there anything else that you wanted to drop in before we get actually rolling at this point?
No, I'm going to save the stuff that I was giggling about beforehand till after the horrible scopes.
That's fair. So, that being the case, let me go ahead and get everything rolling. So, with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle is going to start right now. Rules. Now, like I was saying, when I was doing this charity stream, I had one rule for myself, and it wasn't that I was going to finish. That was a goal. That was not a rule. The rule was, if I have one hallucination, that's it. Game over. Show's over. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All it was going to take was one hallucination. And it could have been, now here's the thing. Normally when we think of hallucinations, most of us lay people, when we think of hallucination, we think of something visual. That's not always the case. Hallucinations can come in almost any way. It could be visual, which a lot of people attribute. It could be auditory, hearing things, voices, instructions. It could be tactile, something that's just, you think something is brushing against your skin, for instance. Now, I know full well, or after doing a little bit of research also after the fact, it's expected, it's suggested that humans get sleep every 17 hours. There are the experiments that have gone on where people have gone longer than that. There is also a self-done experiment, I don't know exactly how to describe it, where a gent went literally underground, away from the sun and moon and everything else, and had no visual contact with the surface. And he eventually ended up having a 36-hour, I think it was, body schedule. I think that's what it was eventually. How you do that for, like 6 months, I don't get. But, I'm not a scientist. At least not in that kind of area. I'm not a scientist. Period. So what I was doing with trying to get people to donate some money, some funds, is to help people who actually are scientists, researchers, people whose job it is to try to understand, what do these different chemicals do to the human body? Now, first and foremost, we have to remember, cancer is not a disease per se. It's a breakdown. It's a genetic breakdown of the human body, or any biological organism as we know it. To borrow an expression, it's just a simple fact of their biology. So when people go through trying to figure out what's going on, when they try to figure out how things work, why they break down, how do they break down, how do you fix it, how do you prevent it, they're asking the question why, first and foremost. Why does it happen? Why should it happen? And maybe crossing over from biology into other areas when you ask the question, why should we stop it? The question's a tough one to understand. Most of all, the rules of ethics are to try to understand something with as little damage to anything and everything else around it as possible. That could be biological harm. That could be psychological damage. It could be a host of different things. But the question first and foremost is, what rule are you allowed to bend? What rule can you break? What rule must you never touch or come even close to? We have rules for a reason. It's always important to remember not just that, but the reason why they're there in the first place. Because those rules are what separate ununderstanding animal from civilization. Now, before we get too far past that, I just want to say that the whole thing about civilization and animals that don't understand. There have been experiments, and we've kind of touched on them before, where mouse subjects and rats and even birds have been, if not exactly directly experimented on, but observationally investigated on, to find out that there are groups who will do things that we otherwise would think are ethical in nature, saving each other from traps or whatever, watching over each other when there are dangers about. And, it's really going to be curious in a couple million years when humanity has to coexist with civilizations of other creatures on this planet. It's kind of cool. That's kind of freaky. But at the same time, science fiction talks about planets where this exact kind of thing has happened. So I'm sorry I'm not going to live long enough to see that, but wow, what a cool concept, isn't it? I mean, we are heavily evolved primates. What's going to happen when the more heavily evolved corvids start coming down to the United Nations and making a case for themselves? Or bovines, or I was going to say squirrels, but I don't trust squirrels worth a damn anyway. So whatever. I just think it's a really cool concept, but that's just me. So, you ready to move on and go ahead and do this thing while it's lighting up my face?
What?
There you are.
Huh? What? Huh? What? Huh? What? I muted myself because you deserve the 5-minute freestyle without me going or making commentary. So
I appreciate that. That being the case, let's go ahead and do it. Time for the horrible scopes. Those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, you can make it up any way you like to as you go along. But if you'd like to do it in a way that's helpful, get in touch with the folks over there at Heart of the Game Fredonia. They'd be happy to take some of your money so that they can give you in exchange a cool D12 with the symbols on them. And they're supposedly well weighted so that they're random. I mean, randomizing on a 12 is good. Loading the dice on a 20 is better. It's wrong, it's unethical, but it's better. Just go ahead and ask them. Order those D12s and have them shipped out to you. They'd be happy to take some of your money. At Heart of the Game Fredonia, hail, hail Fredonia, home of the Blue Devil. They're actually, as of 2 weeks ago, there was a mimic in the window, and I've got the photographic evidence to prove it. I don't know what's going to be happening this week coming up. But I'm not there, so it doesn't really much matter. So to kind of go along with all that, something happened this past week. Brain cells. They started trying to be all kinds of cute and thinking about stuff and jokes on them. Because I decided to kind of weaponize that stuff this time. So y'all get ready to be puzzled or annoyed or exasperated. Maybe all three at once. I don't know. And remember, if you've got a problem with any of the scopes, you can take it up with whoever's in charge of creating the English language, because I'm passing on the blame to them. That's just the way it's going to work.
I'll go first. I'll suffer through this. Aries. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, my Romeo? Down here, stupid, the ladder broke. Look, you want to write a scatological parody of Romeo and Juliet to get middle schoolers to take some kind of interest in Shakespeare? But come on! This is not gonna end well. If nothing else, your reputation as a serious playwright will take a massive hit forevermore. So this week, if you want your kids to learn it, have them watch the Animaniacs version of the West Side Story version of Romeo and Juliet. It's short, it's got talking pigeons, and most of all, the job's already been done for you.
So why create when you can just borrow?
I know that's not the actual first line of the horoscope, but it's Romeo and Juliet, and that's the best joke that I know about it. Thank you, grandfather.
Taurus, speaking of students, it's summer break. Never in the history of employment has there ever been a wider disparity between the workers, meaning the students, and the employers, meaning the teachers. Kids, and usually parents, do not have clue one on how much work goes into planning for the next year. There's stuff that stays pretty much the same, but there's always new research on how to teach what you've been taught for the last 10 years, over and over and over again. So this week, write a note, slip it to your teacher before you head out for the last time, and just say, thank you. It'll make all the difference in the world. And by the way, for the record, Rebecca Friedman from over there at Ask an Atheist, that one's for you.
Gemini, you love toast, right? Like, you really love toast. We've heard so much so that you've started making your own garlic butter, which is a pretty cool thing. But we want you to think about something. There's a setting on every toaster that essentially turns bread into charcoal instead of toast. Why? So this week, start buying different types of bread and see which one actually toasts instead of burns at maximum toast setting. We're betting the only winner will be hardtack. I can vouch for that.
Cancer, my child, there is something called Occam's razor, which basically says, all things being equal, the simplest solution is usually the correct one. Now, that being the case, how do you think mankind was able to get to the moon? It's actually a trick question. Mankind never went to the moon. His WWE contract wouldn't let him. So this week, learn to think sideways on a question. It might just save your reputation.
Leo, there are differences in how we work things in the analog world compared to the digital one. Take old video game consoles. The controllers use little on-off keys in the 4 cardinal directions, plus the fire button to move an on-screen character. Why then do we insist on pressing harder to get more speed out of them? So this week, if you want to turn faster in a video game, buy an old paddle knob controller and maybe 3 adapters to get to work on modern computers.
I cannot tell you how many controllers I destroyed with my Atari 2600 because I thought, just instinctively, pressing harder in one direction would make the character move faster on screen. All it did was make my dad's money go away faster to replace it. Oops. Virgo, here's something to consider. Mjolnir's enchantment. Written on it is this: whosoever holds this hammer, should they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. Now, over time, several have been found to be worthy. The powers didn't leave Thor. They were just given it in that moment to the new wielder. So if they both held Mjolnir and invoked the same lightning strike, would the power be doubled? Would additional worthy people again increase the power? Is there a limit at that point? So this week, we all know that given the choice, Mjolnir would give itself to the other Mr. Rogers. Because sometimes instead of a Steve, we need a Fred. Be like Fred McFeely Rogers.
My headcanon says that Steve Rogers is actually Fred McFeely Rogers. He changed his name in order to hide and not be Steve Rogers, because if he was Steve Rogers, he would have had all sorts of people go after him to get him to be Captain America when he should have been sleeping in ice and whatever. Because, you know, he went back into time and put the stones back. And anyway, Libra, if you could eat one food right now with no adverse repercussions like allergies or weight loss, what would you choose? We're guessing you started off thinking about the surf and turf lobster and steak combination that you normally can't afford. And after that, thinking about something you can afford, but maybe is healthier for you. And now you finally settled on the actual final answer. So this week, tell your grandmother that you missed that dinner she used to make for you. Ask for the recipe, then make it just this once.
Scorpio, it's almost barbecue season, so we need to run the age-old question by you. And again, Rebecca and Sam, why do hot dogs come in packs of 10 but buns in packs of 8? The answer is simple. 8 people get standard bunned dogs, but then you have 2 spares. Each has a specific purpose. The first is for whatever animal you have as a pet. The appeasement tax must be paid. So this week, that leaves 1 dog left, and it'll be the burnt to hell dog. And that one goes to that one person that likes it that way. Psychopath that they are. They don't deserve bread with that one anyway. Just give them extra potato salad.
I like putting my hot dog into a leaf of romaine lettuce. The crunch and it just I know it sounds weird, but it works for me.
I mean, I've said it on many an occasion on various other things. You're allowed to be wrong. So, cool.
You should try it once. It's got that crunch of I'm chewing through bone to get to the meat.
If I wanted to go ahead and have something that crackled as I bit through it for a hot dog, I'll just wrap it in bacon and be done with it that way.
Yeah, bacon. Sagittarius. For anyone prudish about this one, tough. You know how the most pedantic of us will remind you that assless chaps are the defining trait of chaps instead of pants? And how it's pointed out that it's a pair of pants and not just pant. Well, at one time, pants were two separate leg pieces held together at the waist. So this week, buy some assless chaps for yourself because you can. They're now your daily wear pair of pants.
I'm that pedantic.
I know you are.
Capricorn. Okay, so you want cookies, huh? Yeah, okay, sure. No, but nobody's going to stop you. Go to the freezer section of your grocery store and buy a stick of ready-to-bake stuff. And, you know, you can put it through the waffle iron too, right? Yeah, you can waffle that. Or you just eat it raw. You know, we're not going to judge you. You know you can make cookie dough safer to eat for yourself, right? It's easy. You know, you take the flour and you bake it in a dry pan so you kill off any of the pathogens. That's where the real danger is. So this week, instead of eating it, how about cutting a piece to line the bottom of your coffee mug? Because who needs sugar then?
Aquarius. Believe it or not, you're getting the thought that started this whole set. Put your thinking caps on and consider this. In fantasy world role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, trademark Wizard of the Coast, it's literally impossible to be an atheist. Seriously, think about that for a second. It is literally impossible to discount that there are literal gods in these universes, since, you know, there are the occasional interactions with them. And also, you could actually become a god. So this week, see if you can get away with playing an anti-cleric or an anti-paladin, trying to break clerics and paladins of their affiliations. Why? So that you can gain enough powers to become a god yourself. Ow. That hurt. I went overboard.
Finally, my fellow fish Pisces, you're going head-to-head against Aquarius. They're vying to become a god. So you'll have the task of finding the weapon that is fated to end the BBEG. We're not sure where the weapon is or even what it looks like, but we're pretty sure it's in another castle. So this week, you're planning to actually go up against a literal godling. Hope you brought your own dice, because this encounter is going to get messy real fast otherwise. Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, you're probably Aquarius, because that's just the kind of person you are. But, of course, if you'd like something nicer or naughtier for yourself or someone else, you can bribe me. That's a good way of paying me for stuff. Or if you'd like to literally bribe me, you can do that with money as well. Over at the coffee page, coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. All of these posted at the end of the week as usual. Tumblr, Facebook, Coffee, Discord, Blue Sky. Because that's the way it's supposed to work. You let everybody know about it because that's what you do. You be fun that way. Because why not? It's episode 536 on the docket, Your Honor. Fiction more real than fact. Well, I got disappointed. Because I saw a post that came around on social media, and I'm not disappointed because I found out that it was probably fake. But I got disappointed because I believed it was plausible. And that hurt to find out that it was fake. The long and short of it is, a post was going around saying that the cadets from West Point who were graduating were going, well, many of them were going to have their own silent protest. That if the felon-in-chief was going to be handing out diplomas with them, that they would not shake his hand. They would salute him as the commander-in-chief, as the head of the armed forces, as one is wont to do, to respect the office, but to not shake his hand. Now, I was saddened to find out that this story, though plausible, or seemingly so, was rated as, let me go ahead and pull that back up again for a second. According to the nice folks over there at Snopes, it was rated as originated as satire. Meaning it started off as just a false satirical post that could have become real, but didn't. Or at the very least, this time it didn't. It's entirely possible in the future it will. The part of the oath that was being cited for these West Point graduates was, quote, "A cadet will not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do." The plausibility about this story was that what if these cadets, these graduates, who were getting their diplomas, come face to face with the commander-in-chief, this specific commander-in-chief, this multiple convicted felon personality. What would they do? Would they just salute their commander-in-chief, respecting the office? And if a handshake was offered, what do you do? Now, like I said, the problem with this is the story turns out to be not true, unproven. But the problem is, it's still a valid question. When this situation comes up again, because it will, what should they do? Because if you shake the hand, you are accepting the person who has lied, cheated, stolen, amongst other things. Those are the nicest pieces. What do you do? So we're going to go into part of this. Maybe not entirely on this specific piece, but most assuredly on the idea when you get put into this specific dilemma, what the hell can you do? What should you do? And what the hell kind of thing are you going to have to put up with afterwards to let people know, I did the right thing. Punish me if you have to, but I did the right thing. Now, I'm kind of sorry that Bridget can't be here tonight, because I do believe that she would have quite a bit of insight and would have some, what's the pronunciation? Acerbic words to use in this situation?
Probably. Flowery words?
Flowery works. Flowery works. That...
Descriptive? Yeah, descriptive words.
Colorful, one might say. But yeah, I don't know what to think about this. So let's deal with the easy question first. Before I posted up about it, Io, had you heard about this particular story?
I've heard variants about not necessarily West Point grads, but various members of the military. Either he's my chief hoorah, or he's a danger, a domestic danger, and we need to not listen to him.
Yeah, there's
But,
that.
you know, it all depends on whether they are MAGA cultists or not. And if they're MAGA cultists, that man could shit in their mouths and they'd be lapping it up like it was chocolate.
And figuratively speaking, it's not at all far from the truth, even to now. I
I
mean,
know.
there was a thing just within the last 2 weeks where there was a cryptocurrency thing that was, pay so much money and you get to come down to one of these places with like an opportunity
That was
to
last weekend.
hobnob with the president and have his ear for a while. And these crypto boys came down there and spent gajillion amounts of money, and we're like, well, what we got to eat for dinner was a TV dinner. I mean, not literally, but I mean, just
Yeah. TV dinner would have been better.
from some of the reports that I heard, yeah, it was pretty lackluster, shall we say?
Mm. Well, that's one of the reasons why people are now fighting back, and they found a perfect way to do it. Taco.
Mm-hmm.
Trump always chickens out. And he apparently is going ballistic about that. But what I found even more hilarious was somebody describing Air Force One as Panda Express because of the orange chicken inside.
Yeah. On that angle,
You
by the
know,
way, before you go on that angle, by the way, the last that I had heard about the I want a new Air Force One, well, Qatar would like to just give you one. Apparently, the news reports about that are less that the government of Qatar said we will give you a 747 and him begging and pleading for a plane from Qatar because he can. I don't know. I still have things to investigate on that one, but again, it's another one of those things that if it's not real, it's plausible.
it's definitely plausible.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but my brain's been really bad, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm really really good about this whole damn thing.
I haven't found a new word for MAGA men, but I've also found a new word for MAGA women. Off Donald. Of Donald, off Donald.
Gotcha.
Just something to make them realize that this is what they voted for. But honestly, the Air Force One being Panda Express because of the orange chicken, yeah. It Hearing reports from inside the White House that he's going absolutely crazy about it, about being called or about being referred to as taco. And uh apparently one of his staffers, it might have been RFK, I'm not sure. I'd actually have to check the video on it. But he was about to walk into a wall and somebody grabbed him and spun him away. Like, he has dementia.
Yeah, Stephanie's also pointed out a couple items. Item one, saying, I believe the cost of meeting with the felon is now $5 million. It was $1 million. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. And also saying, that plane is scrap. It is hardly airworthy and certainly lacks the defenses necessary for Air Force One. My God, after hearing from at least one of the other podcasts that I listened to, how much time would be involved in going over every square millimeter to make sure that everything was proper, safe, unbugged? Yeah, not worth, period. It needs to be built to spec from the ground up, reputably. So, yeah, just nah, man, just nah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
maybe he's hoping that it'll have gold toilets like his Trump Tower suites.
Yeah, that's all kinds of wrong.
Oh, wasn't it either this week or the previous week that his fines from the court cases from last year had to have been paid? I'm waiting to see if that tower in New York State gets seized, as well as all the other properties. I'm gonna be sitting back and enjoying my drink of choice when that happens, because every day he doesn't pay, it goes up a couple $100,000.
Yeah, you could just enjoy yourself a couple of nice mojitos to go along with those Taco Tuesdays.
Yeah, every time somebody mentions taco, I'm hungry. I want to go to Taco Del Mar or one of the other places around here that have real Mexican tacos. Not one of the not one of the franchises like Taco Bell, but one of the places that have real Mexican tacos. Hell, Black got me a t-shirt that says something about I'm in my axolotl era. There's a song that's out there that's basically a nursery rhyme, and it's really cute. And people have realized this is a warning song for people. It's about the little axolotl, and you wonder if they're supposed to be there, and then a penguin waddles in, and the axolotl's gone. Well, axolotls are from Mexico, and penguins live on ice. Do you see the whistle?
Most of them do, yes.
Do you see the whistle? The warning?
Kinda, yeah.
So I've been carrying around axolotls all over the place just to kind of support. Because there's another anachronism for an acronym for MAGA. Mexicans ain't going anywhere.
Yep, that's fair.
So, taco. Talk about tacos. Talk about tacos a lot. Doesn't have to be about pumpkin spice Palpatine or the mango Mussolini. Oh, the pissed off bartender. I watch his videos on YouTube and on TikTok, and he just comes up with such wonderful names and nicknames.
Oh?
Yep. Wonderful names and nicknames for the POTUS. Felon of the U.S.
No, I got you. So let's kind of circle around, back around again. What do you do? You're a graduate. You're a literally seconds after becoming a commissioned officer in the United States military. You walk across the stage. You have whoever it is, probably the commandant, giving you whatever diploma, the fake diploma that you would get. And you take it in one hand, you shake with the other, and you come down the ramp. Now the way it works for some of the military, not all. You go across the stage, you go down the ramp, after you're finished, and whoever has come down the ramp before you is waiting there. They have seniority over you, even if it's only just by a couple of seconds. So you come down the ramp, you are the subordinate, even though you're both of the same rank at that point. The person who has just come down the ramp salutes first, because they are the subordinate. The one who was there already returns the salute, and they go off, they do their thing. The person that just came down now turns around, waits for the next person to come down, and they repeat the thing. Person who just came down salutes first, the other one returns a salute, they turn, they leave, the other one comes down the extra couple of steps, waits for the next person. Nominally, that's how it would work.
I don't know, because they're between a rock and a hard place. If they don't salute the president, then they're not obeying the fact that they have to salute him. But if they do salute him, they're basically saying that it's okay for him to be their commander-in-chief. And I'm not too sure that smart members of the military want him to be commander-in-chief.
Yeah, that's why the way it was written up in this particular article over in Snopes, which, by the way, is linked in the show notes, so you folks want to take a look at that, please, by all means, that saluting 428 pounds, or whatever the hell anyway, saluting the office holder would be deemed acceptable, but physically shaking the hand of the person would be deemed, at the minimum, irresponsible. And was even suggested that if someone were to look over that information later, when he was there, when you graduated, what did you do? Did you salute? Did you shake hands? And that could very easily determine how the rest of your military career may end up. Because, again, you salute the office holder. That seems reasonable, regardless of who it is. Because people who are Republican-leaning would have to salute a Democrat, and vice versa, because they are the commander-in-chief. Physically touching one of these people, I know. They wear gloves because, it's the graduation. Everybody's supposed to be wearing the gloves. I get that. But physically touching and shaking a hand, that for many could be seen as a bridge too far, and would probably hold that against them later for their military career, whether fair or unfair. And A, like I said, what do you do? And B, how fair or unfair would that be?
It's basically whether or not they do it, who has seen it,
well,
and if the people are their commanders and don't like what they've done, no matter what it is they've done, and how much grief they're going to end up with, or do like what they've done and essentially pat them on the back, good job. It doesn't matter whether they salute or shake the hand. Don't salute, don't shake the hand. It doesn't matter what they do. They're wrong because somebody's going to hold what they did against them.
Yeah, there
But
is
at the
that.
same time, they have to because of the office and
Right. And the piece as far as to would they be able to see what had happened? I mean, these days everything is recorded. Never mind the internet. Everything's recorded. So it would be child's play to look up the information. Stephanie has also put this here. You're not going to like what I'm about to say. Stephanie's saying the felon is so obsessed with germs that he would not want to shake anyone's hand. Turns out that's not entirely true. The reports for when he was at West Point was that he did shake a number of people's hands. So, military folks, of course. How many? How much so? Did he have crackled hands because of how much alcohol he was swabbing? Don't care. But he may be a bit of a germaphobe, but he's done enough. And according to the stuff that was found, did he leave West Point to, as he put it, deal with China and tariffs and whatever else? He left early, sure, unlike the previous presidents in office, including himself, who did not, this time out, he did not stay for the entirety of the giving out of the diplomas and whatnot, commission papers or whatever it is they hand out at a military thing. Whereas his first term he did, but he's got nobody to prove to now, so he can pretty well piss off whatever the hell he wants. And who's going to stop him? And apparently the Marine one did take him to his own golf course right nearby.
of course.
So it's unclear if he went there because it was nearby and he was able to conduct business from this location, or if he changed out of his work clothes, shall we say, and went golfing. It's unclear. Many of us will think, well, it's kind of hard to say otherwise because, he's done the way that he's done. But we know full well, without actual proof, we can't say definitively. I, however, am going to give him the benefit of the doubt. No, I'm absolutely not, because I'm sorry. There's just so many times when you can go ahead and you can pull the other leg. Man. The American public, the world public, is not a spider that you can just pull every leg and just expect to get away with it. No, man, no. No, I do not believe that he went there just to deal with countries and economics and whatnot. I know. Remember when it used to be that America actually had a commander-in-chief who was... Oh, wait. The word's coming to me. I know it's a... It starts with a
Respectful?
C. No, it starts with a C.
Competent.
That's the word. Remember those days? Good times, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Unfreaking believable.
Yeah, my father putting on his Facebook page over a decade ago about how Reagan was the last time the adults were in power in the White House. I quoted Arlo Guthrie. Reagan was a fine president. The more he slept, the safer we were. And we have the Latino community blowing off fireworks. It's a little early.
Yeah, when did that ever stop anybody?
Yeah, it's probably for all the graduations because we saw lots of graduation parties today.
Yeah, that could be. Oh, and sideways to all of that, by the way, also. One of the gays for Trump accounts on social media, and I haven't had the opportunity of vetting this one. It would appear that one of these has basically posted a, well, we don't really care about the whatever group in the LGBTQIA plus community because why would they? Which, if it was just a white cis het male who had started it as a kind of thing, that would track. That would track because after a while, it's just like, we don't have anything to prove to anybody. We don't have to survive anything. We don't have to gain popularity. We can just be who we are and just say, hey, we don't care about these folks. Because why would we? We've got what we want. There's only so many buses you can throw people under, man. Only so many. Really.
And then there was that quote that came from the White House about how we're all going to die, about Medicare cuts. And MAGA cops stalk woman for dystopian reason. Texas cops stalk a woman across the U.S. for having an abortion. Fuzznut. And, oh, the fun part, the absolutely wonderful part of all this chaos that POTUS has been throwing with his temper tantrums. You heard about Harvard, right? Getting basically blasted by the Mango Mussolini?
To the best of my recollection, the piece that I remember about was that he was he was deciding all on his own that funding to said establishment of higher learning was going to have part of their funding cut from the federal government because he dictates the rules, because dictating the rules is a good term for it, even though the man doesn't understand how English operates and what dictate would be, or just doesn't care. What piece am I missing?
Harvard wins initial court fight to keep its international students. But not only that, there are free classes on the Constitution and other very important things that you can take from Harvard. It's free. I signed up. It's free. It is free. You want to take it? Go ahead. It's about a 6-week course for just the basics. Go for it. Take it. Give Harvard the statistics that people are taking their courses so they can thumb their nose at tiny hands.
You're gonna find a link and make sure it's in the notes, right?
Yeah, it's on my other computer.
That's all right. We'll get to it. Stephanie
but
was
yes,
also
yes, Harvard. I'm now a student of Harvard.
Ooh.
And I'm a student at Harvard. It might be just Yes.
Not at. Of.
I'm a student of Harvard. I've always wanted to go to college. I'm now at a university. I'm at the best university. Even though it's long distance learning, I'm at one of the best universities in the world, Harvard, Harvard.
Stephanie was also pointing out Reagan was senile when he left, so he'd set the precedent.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
The last 2 years was not Ronnie, it was his wife.
And whatever psychic medium was supposed to be. By the way, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Those of you that are donating stuff to secondhand shops, please do not donate anything that talks about a quote-unquote psychic or medium or both of them. Because for whatever reason, a lot of these books, for instance, and I don't know how this happens. Sylvia Browne being one of them. Books by Sylvia Browne just suddenly, they just mysteriously fly through the air and end up in a very large bucket. I don't know how that happens. It's curiosity. It's almost like nobody's seen these things just suddenly just take flight and fly into a wall and fall into a big ass bucket. Don't know how that happens, but I've seen it happen a couple times. It's wild.
I really ought to clear out the library that's at the community center here, because half the books are, if not Bible thumping, they're psychic thumping. All the angels that have come to help you.
Yeah, figurative angels, as in animals, as in pets, cats, dogs, sometimes even birds. I don't trust. I don't trust turtles though. Anything that can bite through a number 2 pencil, no, thank you.
So basically, Harvard is standing up against Trump, and the reason why people think that that's happening is because his bitty boy was denied all the Ivy League schools, so he's going to a New York university in New York City. At least that's the theory. Whether he actually applied or not, whether it actually is true or not, I don't know. But the other reason is one of the Harvard graduates is a certain Barack Hussein Obama. He's not on a presidential kick. He is on a revenge for everything that's gone wrong. And he is going to punish everyone. And the stuff I've been listening to, the stuff that I've been seeing on YouTube from more or less reputable sources that we've been talking about, Midas Touch and others. Whether you're here as an immigrant or not, whether you were born here or not, you could be deported.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been hearing about that. People who have been natural born citizens, as I've understood it, and I will admit I'm a little, my brain is a little fuzzy and hazy right now. So just a heads up, we will ending up early tonight. Just
that's fine.
Make sure that we're all on board on this. Where people who have been natural born citizens here their entire lives have had their legitimately acquired identification questioned and dismissed, and then they summarily being arrested, detained, and put into a holding facility.
Mm-hmm.
So now the question is, at that point, twofold. If you are the person who is being detained and your legitimate identification, which is otherwise perfectly valid, is denied and refused, what avenues do you have even available to you? The other question is, if you are the worker, I'm going to call it that. And you have someone who has a perfectly valid identification that shows who they are, that they are legitimate, valid, and you are told, take them in anyway. What do you do? Because in my mind, there is only one valid answer. And sure as shit, there are going to be people who are going to be like, no, don't do that. Because for me, the only valid answer is you do not comply.
Yeah.
What are these people supposed to do? You know? I mean, really. I mean, we've heard about the stories about people who have tried to get to polling places, only to find out that the polling place has been closed. It's been moved. The hours have been curtailed. They don't have the proper number of ballots. The machines are not working, not functional. You're not allowed to have water handed to you from somebody who's not voting, even though you're going to be standing in line for 3 hours, 4 hours, because we don't have the capacity for all these people who are here, even though we know how many people are supposed to be voting in this area. You know, the fuck do you do?
Who knows? I can't find it, but I saw one report about real ID being rejected by law enforcement.
Yep,
This isn't legit.
I think we both saw the same or very similar pieces. Yeah.
I wonder if I put it up in there.
Yeah, which is now making me feel like I should be walking about with my passport just to be safe. I know I'm
Papers,
not
please.
exactly I know I'm not exactly a person of interest of any description, but still. You want to ignore my you want to ignore my my driver's license? Okay. You know what? That fine. But I've got a federally issued piece of paper that's my documentation of who I am. And if you got a problem with that, take it up with the State Department. They verify me.
I have supposedly 2 pieces of ID somewhere in this house. One is with my wallet, the other one has disappeared. It's in all my stuff. Both of them are real IDs. One of them is my work permit, and the other one is my 2-year temporary permanent residency card. Ooh. Is it this year or next year? Whatever. I think it's like good for up to 5 years or whatever. I don't really know how long it's good for. I'm gonna have to check later. But when I was getting my driver's license over the last year, I was having fun at the DMV trying to say, yeah, I need this, I need that. Would you like real ID identification? I can get that? Yeah, you can. Oh, wait. You've got that card right there. That's real ID. And they pointed at my permanent residency card. So I have it. And I have to keep it on me at all times. And I better check to make sure I have it on me. It's with my car keys and everything else. Because I've got my driver's license, got that. I can't leave the house without it. I'm fine. Because I don't think the permanent residency has your home address on it. I know that my driver's license does. Oh, yes. Back in March, just before all this chaos happened where I ended up sick in the hospital, I passed my California driver's license with flying colors. I am now legal to drive in Canada and in the US.
Well, you're legal to drive in the U.S. anyway.
Yeah, but depending on which jurisdiction, Canadians have actually been arrested for driving around in various states without the proper ID, which is driver's license from that state, which is stupid. But that's beside the point. The
Yeah.
funniest part was when I went up to the person that was taking all the names and stuff, and she asked me where my supervising driver was, and I said, I'm a 30-year driver from Canada. I have my Canadian license with me. She said, okay, you're fine. Hubs was dealing with his own issues with DMV at that point, so he was in line up somewhere else.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Stephanie had also pointed out, well, because I was asking about, why not just go out with the passport and all. Stephanie put, they would take your passport and lose it. Maybe a photocopy of the relevant pages would be safer. And you know what? That's so much more valid than I gave it credit for at first glance. Yes, it would be very good to keep a photocopy or a print copy. But I want to make sure that folks understand, do not use any electronic copy that you keep on your phone for exactly the same reason that they will simply lose the phone. They could conceivably make it inoperable, because if they can't break into it, I should say. No, I had it right. They'll just make it inoperative, and then you can't show anything.
Go to a notary, get a notarized certified copy of your passport. I went to the local consulate, and I think it was $15 per page. They made certified copies of my passport and signed it and all that. And I actually carry one of those with me. Part of the paperwork I carry with me. It's in my backpack / purse that I carry around.
It's
And
not a bad
I've been
idea.
doing that. I've been doing that since we needed it. We needed one copy in order to send it to INS, in order to deal with the immigration, in order to get my green card, da-da-da-da-da. Well, I wasn't about to allow INS to have my passport, but a certified copy was allowed, so we went to the consulate, so it would have the big Consulate of Canada stamp on it and make it completely legal and all that.
Good.
And we got that piece of paper back. We got somewhere around his house, there is a spare copy that has not been touched, and there's the one that's in my bag. So the amount of paperwork that I have to carry in order to feel safe in this country is getting crazy. I remember when all I needed was my school ID. I didn't even need my birth certificate to cross the border.
Yeah.
All I needed was my school ID.
Yeah, the reciprocity between the United States and Canada has, for literal decades, been more a gentleman's agreement than anything else. It's just been,
And
you're licensed to drive in the United States? Cool. You come over here to us, and yeah, it's just a couple of minor things that are different. Just pay attention to the speed limit, and everything will be okay. Hey?
well, Stephanie's saying that it's so smart for me to be carrying a copy of my passport. Well, I'm not. My passport's tucked away in this house somewhere, and it's nice and safe. I know the chance of it happening is pretty slim. Even my immigration lawyer said that I was of the right skin color to be ignored by INS. At least that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
And of course, this is when I start getting ranty about INS and skin colors. And
Can't imagine why.
Because of the state of politics and INS and whatnot, because of where I live, I have to have that paperwork with me. If I'm out and about on my own, INS stops me, I need to start pulling out the paperwork. I'm not an American citizen. I can't refuse to give them my documentation. American citizens are specifically bugging up the system by going and saying nothing and causing the ICE agents to go crazy because they're trying to get the information from the person to prove that the person's an American citizen. The problem is, if you're an immigrant, you can't do that, because if you don't do that and they find out that you're here illegally, the book's going to be thrown at you.
What
And
Sorry.
if you have even a minor infraction, the book could be thrown at you. No? Oops, I went through a red light and I got caught. I'm going to get deported. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, the problem of it is...
There was a small thing of lipstick in the bottom of my cart that I didn't pay for, and I didn't see it at the checkout, nor did anybody else there. And I got stopped for stealing. I'm gonna get deported. Yeah, the pressure on immigrants is just, it's so high. Even the legal ones, it's so high. You do anything bad, you could be thrown away. You could be sent to who knows where.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that the biggest problem about this is that there is almost no legal foothold for anybody to hold on to the idea that U.S. citizens in the United States are supposed to have a different legal pathway than does anyone else in the same country. The way it's written, any person inside the boundaries of the United States are supposed to have the same access to legal representation, the same right to legal rights, all across the board. Supposed to. The problem, of course, is that there are a lot of groups that, for whatever reason, think exactly what I was describing. If they're not citizens of this country, they are of a different tier. And according to the letter of the law, it's not the way it's supposed to work.
Yep.
But again, there's still this piss match going on about who is and who isn't allowed to have legal rights when they're accosted by the police.
Whether or not you are a citizen of the United States of America, as soon as you touch American soil, you're supposed to have all of the same legal rights, whether you're a visitor, on a visa, on a residency card, or a natural-born citizen, or foreign-born citizen for that matter. You're supposed to have all the same rights and responsibilities, except for voting.
Right. Yeah, and that's supposed to be the only one, as I've understood it. And again, reminding you, do not take legal advice from a podcast. And especially me now, because I am admittedly fading fast.
I can tell.
Yeah, I'm trying to be really careful about it right now. It's a really weird tight wire that I'm walking right now.
So if you get injured, you could sue somebody. If you get stopped by the cops, you can ask for a lawyer. You're supposed to all have Miranda rights available. Speaking of which, don't talk to the cops. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah, we cannot stress that one. We cannot stress that one enough. Yes, don't take legal advice from a podcast, but how about this? Check into it just a little bit. You will find out that most lawyers, almost all lawyers, will universally tell you, you do not say anything to cops other than, at this time, I am invoking my Fifth Amendment right and not answering any further questions until I have my lawyer. My lawyer. That's an important distinction. Present. Don't say a lawyer. My lawyer. That part's important. It's already gone through courts where somebody was being questioned by the police heavily and said that that he wanted to speak to a lawyer. Okay, well, we'll have a lawyer come in to talk with you, and they are part of the prosecution's office. Was it legal trickery? Yes. Was it deemed legal? Also, yes. Speak to
Mm-hmm.
my lawyer. But otherwise, just don't say shit.
I've put in show notes for you later an actual lawyer that was talking about how and why you should not talk to the police.
Yep.
Whether or not you're arrested, whether you're just under investigation, whether you're the victim of a crime, whether you're somebody that witnessed a crime, get a lawyer.
And then shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
You are not, according to the letter of the law, you are not being bad to an investigation. You are just not helping it. And that, again, is another legal distinction.
However, up in Canada, you don't have the right not to speak to the police. That's the difference. But you can still request a lawyer.
And you should. Yeah, that's fair. And again, if you happen to be one of those law enforcement people and you come across someone who is very earnestly trying to assert their rights, and you're told by higher up from you, ignore that. We will shield you from problems, take them in by whatever force is necessary.
The one thing I'm not sure about is whether or not you can record the police. I've heard both yeses and nos. I'm of the opinion with all the cameras that are out there, you should be able to do it. And if the cops request the footage, of course, give it to the cops, as well as whoever they're arresting, or the lawyers of whoever they're arresting or dealing with. Because although cops are supposed to wear body cams, I was at a city hall meeting and I could see where the body cam was supposed to be. And it wasn't on.
Never mind, they have the ability of turning off the audio portion of theirs every once in a while. That in and of itself should be a felony dismissal, in my opinion, but what the hell do I know?
Well, there's been too many people that have been hurt and killed because a cop went too far. They thought they were doing the right thing at the time, but it wasn't somebody doing a criminal act. It was somebody that was homeless or somebody that was having a bad trip or a bad reaction to their meds or the fact that they didn't have their meds.
Yep, that's fair.
I now wear a diabetes alert necklace. I don't like wearing it, but I wear it because what if I have a bad reaction and yeah.
Yeah. And as far as to the question of can you film the police in the United States, the short answer is yes. In public, as they're performing the official acts of their job, so long as you are outside of a comfortable perimeter. If memory serves, that's been determined to be approximately 20 feet as a minimum safety zone for them. Do you have to turn over your footage? No. Are
So
you
about 7 meters.
Are you under any kind of obligation to share it if it's been requested? No. If it is subpoenaed, that of course is a different thing. But generally speaking, you are under no obligation to assist or to voluntarily hand over whatever. And one might argue, don't ever voluntarily hand over anything. If they want it, make them work for it. The reason rationale is if you're out in public, anyone can be viewed and anyone can be photographed in public. And if they've got a problem with that, that's up to them to deal with it. The police who might want video footage of, let's say, a road rage accident, no. If you're going to offer it, you offer it to the person that is involved. You do not offer it to the police. It's not your place to do that. You want to help somebody? Help the person. Don't help the system. It's up to the person to use the information within the system to fix whatever it is.
It's why I love all those dash cam videos inside and outside of the car, because people are idiots when it comes to driving.
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of idiots on the road, by the way, I know full well that there is a minimum of one Cybertruck in my overall area south of Buffalo proper. I know one of them was the traditional silver, and I saw one not too very long ago that was just this Astur white coloring, and all I could say when I saw it going by on the opposite side of the highway as I'm on my way to work is, yeah, that tracks. I'd like to say I'm sorry, but, I try not to lie.
I don't have a good name for the Cybertrucks, but the swastikars out there.
6 and 1/2 dozen another.
They're not Teslas, they're swastikars.
Yeah, and they're all from the same company.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a good name for the trucks yet. I've been trying to find somebody that's come up with a good name for the trucks. But swastikars? And like I said, Air Force One is now the Panda Express. Somebody has been saying that with the amount of ire and anger at the word taco, that's going to get censored soon. You gotta think Taco Bell, Taco Del Mar, Taco Time, Taco this, Taco that. They're gonna be having fun. You can't censor that word. There's nothing bad about the word taco.
It's also a musician's name.
It's a yummy food. And
Yeah.
yes, it is a musician's name.
Yeah, I don't remember if he's still doing, but it was the name he went by, so it's all good.
I love it when he gets fact checked. I'm the hardest working president ever. No, this president did this, and this. Meanwhile, you've spent half your term already over at Mar-a-Lago golfing.
I hate it when that happens.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it when people fact check him.
Especially in real time, to his face.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep doing that.
He...
I do not believe that it is prudent for me to continue on at this point.
No, you're tired, and I would have loved to have had Bridget and Tech in this, because knowing them, it would have been a really fun discussion. Probably Tech would have been laughing and Bridget would have been ranting.
Or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at different times, I'm sure. But, yeah.
My last thing that I want to say about this is keep up the taco. Keep it up. Keep pushing. We finally got a button that's driving him nuts. Keep pushing it. Push the button. Push the button. Push the button.
That's fair. I, however, am going to finish off this. I said that this was going to be the last 36-hour radio stream that I'm going to be doing for charity. I have no intention on going back on that. I'm glad I did what I did. And I'm glad also that because of who I am and what I've done, even though I don't think it's necessarily grandiose, I'm glad that there are people who have looked at me and literally said, I'm a hero for just doing what I think is just the right thing to do. That means a lot. So, for those of you that are wondering, what do you do in a situation where you are put in an unwinnable ethical dilemma? There's only one thing to do. You do your best. You think about it, you weigh it, you figure out which way is your conscience going to take you. And you follow your conscience. It's hard to screw that up when it's something that's big. Yeah, there's always going to be things that are going to be just almost impossible to figure through. But think about it. Work it through in your head. And then take the reverse image. How would you feel about somebody in the opposite position doing the same thing? How would you deal with it? How would you feel about watching somebody else do it? Eventually you come to the right answers. Or at the very least, the least wrong answer possible. Good luck with that. Meantime, yeah, as stated, we'll just call it here because I am not holding up well, and I think it's about as good a time as any. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for being with us. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives. You got something to think about for the week ahead. Just thank you. Lexa showed up right here at the very end of it all, saying, quote, "That's what makes things heroic. Not always easy to do the right thing, but doing it anyway." I do believe that there is a quote from Stan Lee that said almost exactly that. Thank you. And of course, Stephanie, thank you. Thank you for being here with us all these times. And glad you're able to make it back. I know. We were the ones that took the time off instead of you, but I'm humor an old man at this point, all right? Thank you. Io, glad you're able to make it yourself. You try to take as good a care of yourself as possible. And can't wait to hear that things are finally cleared up for you when you're going to let us know about that in the future.
Well, I see my endo on the 9th. I've got more doctor's appointments over the next couple months. We'll see what happens. And I'm doing blood tests on Monday to find out whether my pancreas is settling down, because it's still cranky.
No.
So, thank you.
That's fair enough.
No more hurting yourself at work.
Who are we talking to now?
You.
I am not hurting myself at work.
Your knees?
The most hurt that I've done from the radio stream is my right shoulder blade. Because the boom arm for the microphone is to my left, I have to lean to the right a little bit, and I lean on it a little bit more. Well, you're awake 55 hours. You kind of make little mistakes over there.
No. Back February, January, maybe November, you were complaining about twisted knees and you had to spend time on flat on your back.
That was
Does
not
it work?
work. That was
It was not work.
no, no. That was from the sciatic nerve. That's a me thing. That's not a work thing.
Well, be careful because sciatic nerves can be twanged at work. So be careful.
All
I
too
know
well
what you
aware.
do. I know what you do for work. I know the amount of heavy lifting you do. My finger is waving at you. You be careful.
You know what you can do
I
with
like,
that finger, right?
yeah, switch it to the middle one.
The Italian in me appreciates that. And if you'd like an Italian in you as well, tune in next time that we have a show, and I'll be in your ear. We'll be looking forward to talking to you again, hopefully, as early as next week. If you'd like to be in touch with us for any reason, best way is probably to drop in over on the Discord. Show notes have got the information on that. We do, of course, have several public-facing services available, including and especially Blue Sky. More than happy to help you guys out that way. And just thank you. Again, in seriousness, for those of you that might be looking to help out a little bit with the Ride for Roswell group, you'll be able to find information about that in the Blue Sky posts, in the Discord. We'd love to have a little bit of help on that. But in any case, again, just thank you. So till the next time we're together, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And for my lady, I don't know what I can say that I wouldn't have said or thought before. It's 20 years later. I'm still in love with you. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always. Thank you. And good night.